going on, Jerome's? So on Sunday, Josh Dobbs, we were hoping, okay, so over the bye week, they're going to cater the offense to his skill set, and Dobbs was going to regain that confidence that he had in the second half against the Falcons, first half against the Saints, put the Broncos game away, and definitely put the Bears game away, and he'll get back on track, and the best parts of his game will sing, and the negative parts about his game will go away. But the Vikings offense was inert, and it was just a mess, and then ultimately Kevin O'Connell decided to go to the veteran Nick Mullens. Mullens was efficient, completing 9 of 13, and led the Vikings on the game-winning field goal drive, which is the only points of the game. But either way, Mullens has always been the backup. He was QB2 coming out of camp. He was QB2 for the Raiders game. And if he hadn't injured his back, I actually don't think that the Vikings would have traded for Josh Dobbs at the deadline. And mainly they did it as insurance because, remember, Jaron Hall started that Falcons game. But sort of is what it is, and the Vikings are indeed going to roll with Nick Mullens, at least on Saturday and probably for the rest of the season. But what's interesting is that Kurt Warner, so Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, pictured here by the Academy Award winner guy from Chuck, Zachary Levi. There you go. He's Shazam. Yeah, man. But Kurt Warner, 99 Rams, Hall of Famer. We all know that stuff. Iowa Barnstormer, Northern Iowa, all that, right? He's a fantastic broadcaster, too. I really love when he and Kevin Harlan do the Monday night games on radio. It's fantastic. And, I mean, Kurt Warner, like, his opinion definitely does carry weight. I mean, he's a guy who's been there, done that, NFL MVP, won Super Bowls. Or Super Bowl. It's great, man. But he came to the defense of Josh Dobbs pretty staunchly. So Kurt Warner tweeted this out on, what day is it? Wednesday afternoon. Just watch Vikings tape, and I feel for Josh Dobbs being benched. So important to watch each play and not just see the results. I feel he played well, dropped passes all over. Some things didn't work out, and of course missed some, but far from a benching performance IMO. Exclamation point. Now, yeah, I mean, the drops are certainly there. I think PFF had them as 6 drops, but also not all drops are on the receivers. I mean, some of it was ball placement, and it's something that we've talked about, where the ball that put JJ ultimately in the hospital, the ball against the Falcons where KJ got concussed. I mean, placement does matter, especially when you're going over the middle. I feel like that's a really underrated part about what made Kirk Cousins great, is that he put the ball where the receiver not only wasn't going to get hammered, but also a catchable ball where they can turn and run with it. Now, it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there with Josh Dobbs. And, I mean, Dobbs, yes, he has been a backup throughout his career, 7 teams in 7 seasons. And, being a drop-back passer and just throwing darts, not really his game. It really isn't. And also, it's like, it's weird because not a lot of media personalities, whether former players or otherwise, have really come to Josh Dobbs' defense. But Kurt Warner, he's ready to die on this hill, man. And he's in the replies as well, and he's really getting after it. And I feel like the large majority of Vikings fans are like, okay, needed to make a change. Dobbs got his shot off of the bye. And, yeah, I mean, you do have to give him a little bit of credit because the Vikings don't win the Falcons game, and they probably don't win the Saints game without him. But they lost the Broncos game with him, and they also definitely lost the Bears game with him as well. 4 interceptions. Again, a couple deflections, but he threw 6 or 7 very interceptable balls against the Bears. And also, he should have had a pick 6. Like Jack Jones probably should have had a pick 6 in that Raiders game as well. But Kirk doubled and tripled down. As you all know, I really don't like when people make assumptions based off of box scores or narratives without watching tape, and I really hate when players are blamed for stuff that's not their fault, but happens every week. Here's my study ball look at Josh Dobbs last week. This is 20 plays, not 3, 5, or 7, or 20 plays. You may not think he deserves to be a starter, but he was until last week, and my argument is that it wasn't on him. I'll be waiting here for your response. All right, so now I'm going to bring up his stats. Just watching the games, and I've unfortunately watched basically every single snap of Vikings football since like 1994. It's just burned in my eyes. And yes, I've watched every snap of Josh Dobbs as a Viking. Yes, I've watched the All-22. He played extremely well when he was off script against the Falcons and the first half against the Saints. That is what he does. Basically, the schoolyard football thing, it was great. But when he was, it's almost like he got worse as he learned the offense, and as he was trying to sync up with his receivers, as he was trying to get his timing down, which is a big time component of Kevin O'Connell's West Coast offense. It wasn't there. The placement was erratic. Dobbs, you could tell. Like he is a very cerebral and intelligent dude, and it felt like he was overthinking things. And that half second in processing speed, really enhanced the pass rush, and it put the offensive line in bad spots, and a lot of the pressures and sacks are frankly on him. And you saw, just from the game tape, you saw that Nick Mullens was getting the ball out quick. Very quick, and this was without Brian O'Neill, and also without Ed Ingram, as well as without Dalton Reisner was in there, but he was banged up. But Mullens, who again has been the QB2, ball was out quick, ball was catchable. No, maybe didn't have the stank or mustard that you would want on it, but that's fine. Just get the ball out of your hands into the playmaker's mitts, and you saw what happened. The Vikings moved the ball consistently for the first time in the game, and the Vikings kicked the game-winning field goal. And that's really all you need, and that's what we wanted to see from Dobbs. I wanted to see it so badly, but it felt like as he got more in structure, he got worse. That's exactly what it seems like. And Kurt Warner did up a YouTube video, watched it, and Kirk brings up some good points. But also, I feel like Kirk might be shaded a little bit because he was also the ultimate underdog story. Like, the movie is literally called American Underdog. So you see a guy like Josh Dobbs, who's a fantastic story, who is truly an underdog coming in, and Kirk maybe sees a little bit of himself in Dobbs, and that Dobbs didn't get a full chance. And Kurt Warner, yes, he had some bad games as well, minus the 1999 Super Bowl and MVP season. But also, I feel like quarterbacks are sort of predisposed to be like, it's not my fault. It's a bad protection. Now it's a bad play call. Oh, it's the receivers dropping balls over the place. I'm good. I'm good, man. But and then Kirk continued, I love you and all your passion, but yes, I watch every game. I assess every quarterback play by play based on what I think they should do or what they could have done on a play. My point is always we need honest assessment instead of looking simply at the end stats. Don't generalize. And then he wrapped it up. Always fun to hear people rip someone or something, and then you show them the tape, and they come up with a completely different take to explain their point. It's one of the problems we have. People will fight for their narrative, even without actual analysis to back it up. Hashtag why we do this. I feel like Kirk might be fighting for his own narrative, too. And again, all the respect in the world. Kurt Warner knows more football. He's got more football knowledge in his little finger than probably the entire Vikings fan base put together, or any football fan base put together. Respect, man. But again, he watched every single snap. He watched the tape, and I'm not a beautiful football mind, but I say that Josh Dobbs did not play well. Like he simply did not play well on Sunday, and that's okay to say. And again, Dobbs played great against the Falcons in the first half against the Saints, but questionable, especially after he got that cheap shot from Kareem Jackson against the Broncos. He was atrocious against the Bears, but also some of that was on game plan, and he wasn't as terrible as the Bears game against the Raiders, but the offense was inert. And if Mullens wasn't inserted over Dobbs, the game ends in a 0-0 tie. That's exactly what happens, man. So, again, I respect the hell out of Kurt Warner, and his opinion does obviously carry a lot of weight, but it's kind of like tasting food. Like, you don't have to be Gordon Ramsay. You don't have to be a sophisticated palate. You don't have to know the process between everything on that plate of food in front of you. You can say, this tastes good or this tastes bad. It's really what it takes, man. And that's exactly what happened with Dobbs. Dobbs, again, complete newbie, complete neophyte. We'll never know 1% of the football knowledge that Kurt Warner knows, but Josh Dobbs didn't play good. Josh Dobbs didn't play good on Sunday, and he got replaced by Nick Mullens, and Nick Mullens played a lot better. And that's what it comes down to, and that's why Nick Mullens is getting the start on Saturday. But your thoughts are thoughts. Kurt Warner, star of American Underdog, comes to the defense of Josh Dobbs for his play against the Raiders. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo, but next time, Skull Production Value.